Hey guys, what's up? It's Rygar the Destroyer, and today we're doing another episode of the Q&A series. Now, as always, if you have a question you'd like me to answer in next week's video, go ahead and throw it down in the comment section below, and make sure to stay to the end because I ask you guys a question that we'll talk about next week. So let's go ahead and jump on in. Now, last week I gave you guys a little bit of homework. There was a comment about Dirge being back that I couldn't figure out what it meant, and fortunately several of you guys in the comment section let me know. Apparently Dirge is going to be back in Star Wars canon, which is super cool. Apparently he's going to be in a Dr. Aphra comic, or maybe it's already been released, I'm not entirely sure, but that's super cool. I love the Dr. Aphra comics despite being a little behind on them right now, and I'm really excited that Disney seems to be bringing back a lot of these characters that people like from, you know, the pre-Disney buyout. I think is pretty cool. One other thing that I found out recently that I think is super cool is that Disney Plus is actually going to be offering the Tartakovsky Clone Wars on their platform, as well as the Ewok Adventure movies, the Ewok TV show, and there's a couple other ones on there. And that's really cool. Not necessarily because like the Ewok Adventure movies or the Ewok TV show is particularly good, but I'm just excited to see that some of these things are starting to be re-released, especially like the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, because it's pretty easy to have missed them, especially if you're a new Star Wars fan, and I think it's definitely worth watching. So I'm excited to see what other things maybe Disney will bring back for the Star Wars universe. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the questions. Let's see. The first one comes from Birdie's Reviews. Do you prefer Django or Boba? And I would say I probably prefer Django Fett. I just think he's a cooler character. And that's based on just like remembering him from my childhood. And also he just does more on screen than Boba Fett does. But now that they're doing the Boba Fett TV show, I'm excited to see, you know, what kind of cool stuff he gets up to. And that might change, actually. I might change my opinion there. The next question comes from DR. What is the most expensive thing in your collection? So the most expensive single item I've ever purchased for my collection is the Han Solo and Chewbacca Hot Toys 2-pack. I think the original retail price on it was like slightly over $500, and usually I don't spend that kind of money on single items, but I had just got my first job ever, and I wanted to celebrate with the first paycheck, and that's what I decided to get. And I'm actually glad I did, because they really skyrocketed on the aftermarket, so I definitely wouldn't have been able to afford one if I had waited. So last week I asked you guys what your favorite Clone Wars action figure was, and I got a ton of responses, which I'm pretty pleased with. The first one comes from Nicolo Lucani. My favorite Clone Wars figure is the 501st Jet Trooper Phase 2, but it's impossible to get. And yeah, I don't have it in my collection. I assume that probably 90% of Star Wars collectors don't have it in their collection. All of those, like, kind of as the Clone Wars line was winding down figures, they didn't get distributed at all. It seems like they didn't hardly make any of them. But yeah, it's a really cool figure. Maybe one day I'll get lucky and be able to find one, and maybe you will as well. The next one comes from Jack Frizzello. Hopefully I'm saying that right, we'll have to see. Hope all is well with the schedule change. Oh yeah, the schedule change is just for school, no big deal there. Favorite Clone Wars figure, hands down, is the Flamethrower Trooper. That one is my personal favorites out of all of them. And then they also add that my favorite Clone Wars figure for the Vintage Collection line was Captain Fordo. He is by far my favorite Clone Trooper. So the Flame Trooper is really a cool figure, and I think like the figure itself is fine, like there's nothing wrong with it, but the best part about that figure is the accessories. It's got the regular flame accessory for the flamethrower and the one that kind of grips around your battle droid, which is super cool. That's just really cool attention to detail on Hasbro's part, and definitely makes it a really memorable figure. I remember when they announced that, I was like, oh man, I have to have that guy in my collection because he was so cool. Let's see. Mr. McNugget 2 says, I love all of the clones, but if I had to choose one, it would be the basic Phase 1 shiny clone. Yeah, frankly, it's a classic. I think every single Star Wars collector should have a basic white Phase 1 and Phase 2 clone trooper in their collection. Even if you don't collect the prequel stuff, you guys have to have those kinds of figures in your collection. But anyway, let's see. The question that I have for next week, I'm actually ripping off here from DR. What's the most expensive thing in your guys' collections? I'm excited to see what kind of rare, cool stuff you guys have in your collections. And as always, thank you guys so much for leaving your questions and comments to go through. I always have a ton of fun making these videos, and it really would be impossible to make these videos without you guys. So anyway, thank you guys so much, and I guess I'll see you later.